So I made a video similar to this about 2 to 3 years ago, and I believe it needs to be revisited as I've grown as a player, new things have come out, things I didn't know of back then are now a thing. So today we're going to be talking about 5 things that you need to know as a T-side Awper. And for this video, as per usual, we're using Mirage as an example. So the first thing that you need to know as a T-side Awper is to not just get stuck into one playstyle, right? You have your aggressive, you have your passive, and then you have your supportive playstyles with the op. Aggressive, I mean, you know what that means. It means you get the spawn for going for like an A ramp pick, right? And you come around here and you go for the A ramp pick, okay? Passive is... okay, I mean, this isn't really an aggressive peek, so I guess this is more passive, right? Where you're just in here, and you're waiting for somebody to make this peek, even, going back here, and just waiting for somebody to walk into this angle. You can even hold it like that. If maybe there's a jump spotter, right? You can get them like that, but just very passive, just waiting back, playing more of an angle where the person is not immediately going to, like, every single round, the CT is not going to be swinging into here for you to get the kill, right? There's a big chance even, that they won't do that. So, you're just going to be sitting here waiting in hopes that they do push that. Same thing, or same idea for, like, Palace, right? Just sitting back here. They're not always going to push into Palace, but if they do, you should have this kill 100% secured, all right? And then supportive is, where you're sitting back, your team wants to go out A, and instead of going into Palace with them or something, you say, okay, well, I'll throw a jungle smoke, all right? And then they're coming out, and again, your team's out here, they're fighting, and you're like, okay, well, I'll just post up on CT, and I'll just hold this, and then they get bomb plant, and then you can fall back here because bomb's planted for you, right? All those are very reasonable things to do, but you can't just stick to one for the entire match. You have to diversify what you're trying to do, because if you do the same thing over and over again, it's not always going to work. Some matches, I mean, the thing is, every time you play a game, you're playing against different opponents, okay? And some matches, just sitting back and being passive is going to work, because they have 3 dumbasses on their team that want to push through everything, and they're going to walk right into your crosshair. And then maybe the next match, you're playing against 5 people that like to play really passive. So you playing passive isn't doing anything when they're giving you a lot of space. If you were to play aggressive, then you'd be able to actually, do something with that. Now, the next thing on our list is knowing when to go for picks. So relating back to number 1, the most common thing Awpers like to do on T-side is be aggressive. They like to, if they have this spawn, right, the Awper is easily picking mid. All right, I know there's the one simple video where he's like, no, bro, I never go for the mid pick. I always go for the apps pick. In lower levels, you can get away with doing that, okay? And so you don't always need to go for that. You don't always need to go for the aggressive picks. You have to know when they're going to work, when you should play passive, right? Because the op is so powerful, and people sometimes don't treat it as such, Just because the op is so powerful, that doesn't mean every single opening kill to every single round should be done by the Awper. Sometimes you do need to play passive. But other times, when passive hasn't been working, right, I always recommend that you start off passive, you get a kind of good feel for how they're playing it, and then you can go for aggressive. So, for example, an aggressive thing would be to scope in a little bit before, all right, so they don't hear you, and then you can start working your way out. You can slowly clear these angles, and you can slowly work your way out of this, okay? That's a good play. But to do that, you have to know that, 1, nobody plays up on Balk. 2, they don't have an op towards jungle or stairs, because if they do, there's a 50-50 chance, maybe even a 60-40 chance that you die and you don't get that kill. And then 3, you have to know, is the CT guy opping? Because if he's opping, I mean, that's a free kill for you. If he's jump spotting, you might have to hit a more difficult shot, all right? Those aren't things that you need to know necessarily, but it helps you a lot, right? It very much helps you. And you can't just go, the first round you have an op. You can't just go for this pick. Now, in higher levels where the mind games are starting to come into play, yeah, maybe you can go for that pick because nobody's expecting you to go for that pick, so they're not going to be playing like that. But that's another video in itself. So point number 3 is to remember how important the op is and powerful the op is in post-plant situations and positioning yourself in a way that you'll actually be able to use it. right? So I know everybody's played some retake servers, and if you're playing a retake server on Mirage, this is a very common angle held by the op, maybe even getting up to here because you can just shoot right through. They're not going to really be peeking you, and this is a great angle to get one kill and then to be completely out of position, right? Maybe you get that kill and you push into market, but who's to say that there's not another person right there, right? So you get the kill, and you either need to hold that angle again, and you're exposed to everything here, or, you know, you wrap back around, and now the op's in market. Okay, and with the op in market, you can almost kind of maybe see if it's planted for cat. Like, you still have to move around a bit to be able to get the guy that's diffusing right here. You do have to move out a bit to get the guy who's planting default, or diffusing default. And there could be a guy there could be a guy fan, there could be a guy cat. You're just exposed to a lot of angles. So even though this is a very powerful angle at the start of, you know, a post-plant situation where everybody's rotating in, okay, it's not the best position to be in for a post-plant. Now, post-plant really determines on where the bomb is planted. If it's planted for cat, right, the obvious thing is to go play cat, because then you can do this. But also, it's so obvious that sometimes it's expected. So sitting back bench is nice. You can see this plant fully, all right? Sitting up in apps is fun. You can see this plant fully. You don't have to go for the obvious spot every single time. There's other spots that also work. Now, if you plant default, okay, where can you play with the op? Apps is probably the most obvious spot because you can, you have a couple different angles. You can, if it's planted here, which, this is a specific setup play. Sometimes in higher levels, if it's planted here, it might just be a dead giveaway that they're playing in market, so you do need to be careful for that. But that is an angle that you can see. Lots of times with bomb planted default, people can play market and try to get the kill like that. Playing behind van is not a bad idea for it being planted default. You get all that information. You can easily peek. And then playing behind bench again isn't the worst. You do have to swing out a little bit wide, but there's worse options out there. Again, so it's not about just because you can get up here. Of course, I can't make the jump. You can get up here and play a really nice angle and get that easy peasy kill. All right. After you get this kill, what are you gonna do? All right. And then also, when you're coming into B, this is usually only a retake situation, or retakes game mode situation where you're able to hold this angle. Most times, you have no idea if market is clean or not. Most times, you're going to have a market window smoke, which allows them to get up, so that kind of defeats the purpose. Sure, you could go for something like this, but who's to say somebody's not right here waiting for you, somebody's not right here already waiting for you, and somebody's not here who's about to kill your team while they think that you have market completely covered. Now, number 4, I talked about this earlier, or at least I alluded to it, coming out of Palace. You want to be able to go for contact plays and have the confidence to go for contact plays and have the confidence to say, hey, guys, all right, I need 2 of you behind me, okay, and I need the other 2 to throw a stairs and a jungle smoke. So what that's going to allow me to do is, as I'm coming up, the smokes aren't thrown yet, right? Smokes are going to be thrown off of my shot. And so I have 2 people behind me ready to trade out. Maybe I start coming out like this. If nobody's here, all right, the contact play for me is pretty much done, right? Because I just need to get to here and post up on CT and wait, because we're not going to have a CT smoke. Now, the other 2 guys that are behind me, they can start swinging out wide. And again, it's a contact play, so they're probably, shifting, not making any noise, and they're trying to catch them off guard. There's no utility, no nothing. The CT shouldn't be expecting it. Now, again, when you're coming up, the contact play could start as early as getting this kill for the guy on the guy top stairs, getting this kill right here, getting the kill right here. That's as early as it could start. Usually, you're either going to get the guy here, here, or here, right? Maybe even a headshot here. And that's your main areas for the contact, right? And now this is, of course, just specific to coming out a ramp. Coming out Palace, it's a little bit different because you usually have 1 person behind you, not 2 people, and everybody else is ramp, and they're just waiting for you to get one of these picks. Also, the smokes are going to be a little bit different, right? Because hypothetically, if you're doing a contact properly, you don't have 3 people sitting back lining up smokes. Most of them are going to be thrown on the run. At max, you have 2 people because you need people up front to be able to trade out those deaths when you're doing the contact play. So let's say you can get jungle control like this, right? Now, of course, jungle isn't all the way clear. There could be a guy right there, but you have to, your team has to deal with that. If you get jungle control like this, right, and top stairs is clean, right, all you need is a stair smoke and a CT smoke, and you can kind of hold this walkout. Now, you do have to tell your team, hey, be careful, there could be a guy right here. I can't see him. And that's when you can maybe use, like, a top connector smoke, something like that, where it's gonna combine better. And that's more for you to talk about with your teammates if you're queuing with them or things like that. That's not something that's gonna be on the fly. Same thing goes for in B apps. This is like a ramp. This can also be done on the fly. Hey guys, I need one person back here lining up like a market window, right? The other three guys, maybe you have one guy holding for the underpass push, but the other two guys behind me, you guys are just walking behind me. And so you're contacting here. There's no opper here. Okay, so we're working up. And then you can kind of look towards bench. You got to clear this angle. This is the little, like, on top of the wooden box. And then once you get to here, all right, once you get to here, you can just hold this, right? Maybe you don't want to market window smoke because you want them to cross in. Maybe you want to market door smoke or something, right? You want them to cross in so you could get this shot. Or you say, okay, throw the market window smoke. This smoke blooms, and then your teammates are running out. You slowly work, and now you're looking for the guy on cat, right? While the guy on cat is more focused on the teammates that are jumping out, you can maybe get that kill. Right? So just having the confidence to say, guys, get behind me, let me go out first, right? And we'll make this happen. And also knowing when to stop, when to transition into, okay, I've been aggressive. Now, if I continue to be aggressive, for example, coming out ramp, where do you go from here? Okay, what? Are you going to clear under balk, scoped in? No, because you're exposed to jungle. Why would you do that? So, knowing when to stop, knowing when to, okay, I've gone as far as I can go, you guys need to go and do something is very important. And then finally, being mobile is probably the most important thing. It's extremely important on CT side. On T side, it's also very important. So for example, let's say you're start of the round, you get up here, right, and you're looking at bottom con. Okay, let's say a guy runs out, you shoot. It doesn't matter if you get the kill or not, but you shoot. So now CTs are like, there's an op mid, okay? So now, the last thing they're expecting is that op mid to reappear in Palace. Now, yes, this is a long rotate. It could take a while, but as long as proper smokes are being thrown, for example, a smoke window is being thrown, that's 18 seconds that you have to get around and get into Palace. Now, I believe it might take you a little bit longer than 18 seconds, but that's fine because as soon as this smoke fades, right, nobody's going to immediately, oh, the smoke fades. Oh, there's no opper there anymore. Okay, they're going to take a couple seconds, make sure it's good. So you have 5 seconds on top of the 18 seconds to show up in Palace. All right. Another thing would be, you shoot from Palace, right? You shoot from Palace at the start, okay? You need to get out of this position because this is such an easy angle to hold for anybody else. Oh, there's an Opera Palace? Okay, I'll just wait here. There's literally nowhere else you can peek from. So that's when you have to regress somewhere else. You can either go ramp, which is somewhat expected. The closer it is to the angle that you just peeked, the more expected it is. So then you can maybe go mid. That's going to be a little bit less expected, especially with this jungle guy maybe looking towards Palace, maybe more focused on that. Showing up in apps is going to be extremely unexpected because you just shot from Palace, right? So you have to, keep that in mind. A decoy isn't the worst idea. It's only going to work for maybe 1-2 shots at max from the decoy. Let's say you want to come over to apps and you want to, spook them, or you want to spook from mid and you want to get this window guy to look towards jungle for a second. You can throw a decoy and then run over here and take your peek. So there's just mental games that you can do that help solidify your game. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you want your demo reviewed like the previous video that I put out where I actually went over the guy's demo, only looked at T side and just talked about his mistakes that he made, become a channel member and you can have your demo reviewed by me. So have a nice day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.